Now it's time.
Is it time? Focus, you'll have a scattered life. If you keep chasing if you have scattered focus, you'll have a scattered life. If you keep chasing every distraction, you'll keep bleeding time. And before you know it, 5 years have gone by. 10 years have gone by. And you're no closer to your goals. You drifted. And the drifting turns into habit. And the habit turns into your life. A life that you never wanted. Don't let that happen. Don't allow yourself to fall down that path of complacency, of doing the easy things, getting caught up in frivolous activities or politics or gossip or what everyone else is doing. You've got to focus on you. Focus on your thoughts. Stop letting the wind take you whichever direction it blows. You've got to make a deliberate and determined effort to guard your mind and point it at what you're working to achieve.
What do I really want? What's my outcome? What's my result? Let's try to make this clear, because that's what's going to drive us to move forward. Where focus goes, energy flows. Clarity equals power. The more clear you are exactly what you want, the faster and easier it is to achieve.
Let's imagine the day we went to 1 p.m. Obviously, you couldn't get everything in, so what do you have to focus on? If you're going to have done by 1, what do you have to focus on? The major priorities, done by 1. Write it down.
You see, this next week, what are the most important outcomes for me to get this week in my business? And you write those outcomes out, not your action items, the outcomes. If you do that and nothing else, you'll be ahead of the game.
But subconsciously, most people don't even believe they deserve the success. So they end up sabotaging themselves or not going all in on things.
Our brain, if we think we're not entitled to a lot of success, creates what's known as success barriers. Our brain actually blocks out all these cool opportunities that we have to have success because our brain says that we're not deserving of success, so we'll block it out. On the flip side, if you think you're entitled to a lot of success and a lot of happiness, your brain will block out obstacles. You won't even look at different obstacles, and you'll just look at opportunity. You'll see opportunity right in front of you. Well, that's what a strong sense of entitlement is. It's like, I am entitled to a great review from my customers. I'm entitled for people to like me. I'm entitled for people to be positive around me. And that's what your reticular activation system focuses in on. That is all. That is your reality.
Stop working and developing yourself now and prepare yourself for what it is that you want. Because you expect to get it.
A person that truly wants to be successful, they kind of show themselves. They're not the ones hiding, they're not the ones constantly celebrating. They're the ones that show up early, they're the ones that leave late. You can think of yourself, listen, you don't have to work harder, you gotta work smarter. No, you gotta work harder and you gotta work smarter. You gotta do both of them. It's not a substitute. So when you find those individuals, they're not easily distracted. They come in, they ask for more work. They're the ones that are asking for pressure situations. They're not worried about when you criticize them or when you give them feedback, they go, I got it. They're going to improve themselves and make the adjustments needed to win. Stay dialed in on the end result, but you gotta create that end result so intensely that the work becomes irrelevant.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Mr. Jones.
How are we doing today?
All is well, sir.
All's well. Very good. Very good. Okay.
What was the video that showed the lessons to focus on life?
About focus. That's what it's about focusing on what you want. A lot of us don't focus on stuff, and so we don't get stuff. That's really what it's about. A lot of us don't focus enough. Like, we have very vague focus, a very vague idea of what we want, and guess what kind of results we get? Very vague and unclear. That's just the way it works. So it's better to focus on exactly what you want instead of saying, well, I just want to get a job. You're not focusing on what kind of job? Because if you just say, I just want to get a job, you're just going to get a job. You have to focus on what type of job. How do you want to serve people?
you want to use your talents, your gifts, and your interests to serve people. Now you're narrowing it down. Don't even let yourself say, I don't matter, it don't matter how much money I make. Because guess what? You're gonna get a job, and they're gonna pay you crappy because you didn't specify. So that's what that video is all about. All right, we have a lot to do today and a short period of time to do it. So let's get right into it. I think I'm going to save the bulk of the announcements toward the end. Yeah, that's what I would do. Save most of those to the end, so more people are here to hear them. I will tell you what we have planned for you. As I cue this up. All right. Okay, today we're going to complete chapter 10, personality. Now we're going to get into something called defense mechanisms. Defense mechanisms, you'll find out what they are, but they're definitely things that we've used before, and definitely people you know have used defense mechanisms. We're going to talk about introversion versus extroversion, meaning some of us are more introverted, some of us are more extroverted. And I don't know if you know the difference between the two. We're going to take a real brief quiz and kind of see which way you're leaning. So we're going to do that. We're also going to talk about self-esteem, which is extremely important. And these are all things that help make up your personalities. Some of us have higher self-esteem than others. And then you end up behaving based upon your beliefs or how you view yourself. Let's see, what else? Oh, and as long as time permits, we're going to do a review activity to help you prepare for next Thursday's exam. All right. Any questions about anything? All the other announcements are on the back. Any questions?
This dean, she's strict. You still don't know her name, or do you?
And Tracy, the person who's giving the test, I'll tell you her name. I will tell you her name. Right now. Since you asked. Tracy Duck.
Tracy Duck. She's sweet and friendly?
Hmm?
She's sweet and friendly?
Is she friendly? Yeah, she is. I mean, I wouldn't test her. I wouldn't go on the bad side. But, and I'm going to tell the class, and then I strongly recommend people show up on time for when she gives out the test next Thursday.
Okay.
This would be my recommendation. All right. This is where we left off on Tuesday. We were talking about Freud's psychosexual stages, which he felt kind of influenced or play a role with adolescence. So hopefully you guys got the latency period. These are the last two from his psychosexual stages, from 6 to adolescence. That's where Freud, with his weird beliefs, felt that at this age, children's sexual concerns are temporarily put aside. So in his mind, excuse me, in his mind, at this age, from 6 to adolescence, children aren't really being sexual, they're not really having sexual thoughts, sexual feelings, or sexual desires. From 6 to adolescence. I don't know how he would know that, but okay, I'll give that to him. I'm pretty sure there's some 9, 10-year-olds who are having sexual urges, feelings, or desires. Yeah, that's definitely 12-year-olds, because we're now talking about pre-adolescent. And then the genital stage, which he felt, that's the last stage. So when you see it on test, just know the genital stage is the last stage. According to Freud, this is from adolescence to adulthood.
Focus on
And
it,
this
sure.
is where those sexual feelings, those sexual urges, they come back. And they focus more on mature sexuality or sexual intercourse. So, chance to write those two down. Those are the last two of Freud's psychosexual stages. Okay. Now, as you can imagine, a lot of researchers, therapists, psychologists, especially in today's times, don't agree with a lot of the stuff Sigmund Freud came up with. including his psychosexual stages, including his belief, as we talked about before, the Oedipus complex, where a child is attracted to the opposite sex parent and jealous of the spouse. Like that's, yeah, most people do not subscribe to Freud's thoughts about that. But this next thing that he's credited with, people kind of like, you may go into something there. He came up with the concept of defense mechanisms. And he felt these are ways in which we try to manage or try to deal with anxiety or stressful situations. So we use defense mechanisms to deal with stuff in our life. And he came up with about 6 or 7 of them. You're not going to have to know them all, but I underlined the defense mechanisms I do want you to know about. I'm going to go through all of them, but the main ones where there is a question associated with, we're going to go through that. All right. You ready to move on? All right. So let's talk about Sigmund Freud's defense mechanisms. Now, first we need to write down what defense mechanisms are. And here's the first 2 that are listed. I only want you to know the second one, which is regression. So jot down the definition of defense mechanisms, according to Freud, that is, because there's other forms of defense mechanisms. We're just talking about Freud's. And then you see the first 2 defense mechanisms, ones we're going to talk about. But the one on the exam is regression. And I'll give you examples of all of these to help you remember each of them.
Ego pushes unacceptable or unpleasant. Come here.
All right, defense mechanisms in Freudian terms are unconscious strategies that people use to reduce anxiety. So he felt this is all a way, this is about coping with difficult situations. And we do this by distorting reality and or concealing the source of the anxiety from that person. So, when I start giving, and that's kind of wordy, but when I show you what each one of these look like, you're like, oh, okay. It is kind of somebody trying to deal with it. So the first defense mechanism that's listed here is repression. That's where the ego pushes down unacceptable or unpleasant thoughts out of the conscious, but maintains them in the unconscious. In other words, repression is your brain, your conscious brain deciding, I don't want to deal with that. And so it pushes it to the subconscious mind. That's repression. So somebody's repressing their thoughts. Maybe they have some childhood trauma. They don't remember it in their conscious mind, But maybe as they get older, it'll come forward from their unconscious or subconscious mind. So a repressed thought. That's repression. You don't need to know it for the exam, but I'm just sharing that. Now, one that is on the exam is regression, retreating to an earlier psychosexual stage. Now, he has these psychosexual stages. So the example is here. A child reverts back to the oral comfort of thumb sucking because it's the first day of school. Now, clearly, let's say, they're of a certain age. Maybe they used to suck their thumb when they were 3 years old, but now you're going into first grade, or you're going to school now. They're regressing. They're going back to an earlier stage. Like if one of you came in the room and I told you you got a low test score and you fell on the floor and started tantruming. An adult tantruming, that doesn't look right. You're regressing. You're displaying some regressive type behaviors because if a 2-year-old tantrums, we got it's a child. And if adult tantrums, that doesn't look right. That's regression. Retreating to an earlier psychosexual stage. We're good? Okay. Now, here's the next group. There's several you have to write down. So you write down these next 3. I'll give you time. Who needs to sign the agenda sheet? There's one sheet here. I'll take this one. Where's the other sheet at? You guys pass that back.
The expression of an unwanted feeling or thought is redirected from a more threatening, powerful person to a weaker one.
Oh, yes, I did.
All right, so the next 3, displacement, rationalization, and denial. Displacement, rationalization, and denial.
Just redirect it.
No, that's fine. I'm done. I'm giving you plenty of time. Just finish. You get 5 minutes.
A little more. Rationalization. People provide self-justifying. Explanations. In places. Actual but threatening reason for their behavior. What are you gonna do? How about this? Yes.
All right. Everybody, wants to cover? Let's start with displacement. The expression of unwanted feelings or thoughts is redirected to a more threatening, powerful person or a weaker one. And we're all in this. So what is displacement? Displacement means, as the example points out, so a child got put in timeout, but after he got put in timeout, he was mad and he went home and took it out on his dog. Or something which unfortunately happens. Think of this situation. You got a husband, he has a job. He hates his job. His boss, his supervisor, treats him like crap. Degrades him, talks about him in his face, embarrasses him. He can't retaliate on his boss. He might lose his job. So what does he do? He goes home to his wife. He takes it out on his wife. He talks mean to her. He might even be physically abusive to her. He's bigger than her. So he's displacing his frustration with his boss from a more threatening, powerful person, his supervisor, to a weaker one, his wife. Just like if somebody's mad and you failed your exam, you go home, your dog comes up to greet you, and you kick the dog. That's displacement. You're mad at your teacher, you're mad at yourself, you're mad at your test score, and you took it out on a weaker dog. Like, that's displacement. The next one of Freud's defense mechanisms to deal with anxiety is rationalization. Part of that word is to rationalize, to justify, to make an excuse. People provide self-justifying explanations in place of the actual but threatening reason for their behavior. So, for example, let's listen up here. The person who's an alcoholic or an habitual drinker drinks all the time. And somebody goes, maybe you need to stop drinking so much. He goes, you know what? I only drink to be social. Because when I'm out with my friends, everybody else is drinking. I don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable. They're making excuses to justify that behavior. They're rationalizing their behavior. They're trying to make it seem like you're doing it just to make everybody else feel comfortable. No, you drink all the time. Your friends are trying to point that out to you. You might have a problem. You might need to go talk to somebody. Making excuses, trying to rationalize your behavior. Denial. People refusing to accept or acknowledge an anxiety-producing piece of information. What's an anxiety-producing piece of information? I don't know. It could be, you know your best friend is getting cheated on. You were out and you saw your best friend get cheated on. And so you go to your best friend and say, hey, they cheating on you. No. The person is in denial. There's no way they would do that to me. They love me. We're talking about getting married. No, but I saw them cheat. I saw them kissing in the lobby of the movie theater. No, you're confused. That's denial. And so people refuse to accept certain things. It's just, sometimes it's difficult, but as the saying goes, sometimes the truth hurts. Okay, a couple more. Well, I do want you to write down projection. You don't need to know the next two, but I'm going to go over them anyway. I do want you to write down projection.
People attribute unwanted impulses and feelings to someone else.
What's the synonym word for attribute? Give?
People. Let's see. Assign, that's great.
People divert unwanted impulses.
People assign their unwanted impulses.
Assign.
Well, you give, like you.
Oh, give.
Okay. Let's go with
It
it.
should be active.
Let's give.
To give, right?
People give unwanted impulses. Let's go with it.
Social approved thoughts.
Okay. So, projection. As we just said, people
Feelings
give
or
what was that?
behaviors.
Or attribute unwanted impulses and feelings to someone else. Like, for example, the thief thinks that everyone is everyone is a thief. Or, for example, there are people who, when taxes are due, they cheat on their taxes every single tax season. And you go, hey, you know you're kind of doing something that's illegal, you're cheating on their taxes. And they say, everybody cheats on their taxes. Projection is about justifying, the last part that's italicized, it's about justifying one's behavior. Yeah, I cheat on my taxes, but everybody cheats on my taxes. Just on this. No. Just trying to justify what you're doing, trying to make it okay with yourself. You know it's wrong, but you know what? I mean, I feel bad saying this, but there are men who cheat on their wives, their partners, because they literally say things like, all men cheat. It's in our nature.
What about women?
Women do cheat, but women don't. That saying typically isn't attached to women. You don't usually hear people say all women cheat. But they will say all men cheat. Somebody will say all men are dogs. Those are very common phrases. First of all is never wise to use with anything. It's never all in anything. There's always exceptions to every rule. But yeah, projecting is like, yeah, I cheat on them, everybody cheats. Yeah, I look at pornography, but everybody looks at pornography. You're just projecting. You're justifying what you're doing because you want to keep doing it. That's really what it is. You want to keep doing it. You're projecting. Now the next two, sublimation. People divert unwanted impulses into socially approved thoughts, feelings, or behaviors. In other words, normally, if somebody goes, I love to fight. When I go to bars, I'm looking for somebody to just go off on because I love the brawl. Now, in a normal social setting, that's not appropriate. But sublimation is when you take that same desire, those same behaviors, and put it in a place where it will fit better. For example, somebody who loves to fight, where would it be okay to fight? Where is it okay to fight?
Outside.
Someone's even more acceptable to fight.
Boxing.
A ring.
A boxing ring, a tournament, UFC. It's okay. Yeah, you can go and brawl all you want, knock somebody out, go for it. It's acceptable. Is it acceptable for somebody to I just want to stand on a rooftop and shoot people? Is that acceptable? No.
You can't
Where-
do paintball at
No,
paintball.
I'm talking about real bullets. Real bullets. It's not acceptable. Where is shooting people from a vantage point acceptable?
Military.
Where?
Military.
The military, in combat, in war. It's acceptable.
Not playing paintball?
Well, I'm talking about real bullets. Where is it acceptable to shoot people with real bullets? Yeah.
Oh,
that's-
people. I was about to say.
Now, I'm talking about shooting people.
I was about to say shooting range.
No, just shooting people. It's not appropriate. But if with sublimation, you can convert that typically unwanted behavior to a setting where it fits. Now, last, reaction formation. Switching unacceptable impulses to their opposites. Holding back angry feelings that you may have for a person, and instead showing the opposite, an exaggerated friendliness. So what would that look like? So it's two girls down the hallway, and they're talking to themselves. They're like, I can't stand Barbara. She thinks she all that. She thinks she's so cute. I can't. Ooh, if I could just, you don't know how bad I want to just punch her in her fake hair, teeth, self face. And then suddenly, Here she is walking up the hallway. Oh, hey girl, how you doing? You just switched. You just did the opposite. You switched an unacceptable impulse to the complete opposite. So you're like, oh, hey girl, how you doing? Exaggerated friendliness. So really, reaction formation is, if you had to sum this up, it would be like just being fake, being really, really fake. About projection, all you need to know is remember, it's about justifying one's behavior. People will justify anything and everything. Anything. I can give you a lot of political examples, but I don't want to call it a political debate or anything, but there's a lot of changes going on in our country right now. Some of us don't agree with some of the changes, while the other people who do agree with the changes will justify their actions. Right now, the government is shut down. Both sides are justifying not coming together to resolve the issue and open up the government. I'm not even saying who's right or wrong, but they're projecting. One side, Republican, is just like, they got us closing the government because the Democrats want to give medical services to immigrants. While the other side is saying, no, the Republicans are in charge, they don't have to close the government, and we just want people to have coverage. So everybody's justifying why the government is shut down right now. But people do this all the time. People justify. People, I mean, it's crazy. This is so ridiculously crazy, but some people will feel like, yeah, that girl got sexually assaulted, but look at what she was wearing. Like, so you're justifying her getting molested or touched inappropriately because of her clothing? What? That's projection. So, I mean, like, it's just justifying whatever, people will figure out a way to justify whatever they want to do, whatever their beliefs are. So, yep. All right, so we don't need to go, for the sake of time, I'm skipping quite a few slides here because we have a lot to get into. So, of course, this is all about personality. And so there are different things to help define a person's personality. Now, these are called the Big Five, which you want me to know. But I put everything on a spectrum. You know how like there's the autism spectrum. So some people are on this end, some people are on this side. Depression is a spectrum. Some people can't get out of bed. Some people, it's just a mild level of depression. Maybe some sadness. There's everything on the spectrum. So this is kind of like a spectrum of different traits that make up our personality. Now the first one is conscientiousness. Now what does that mean? It just means some of us are on this side, we're very disorganized, very careless, very impulsive. A lot of people have ADHD on that side. But on the other side of the spectrum, our people are very organized, they're very disciplined, they're able to focus. So that's the spectrum for conscientiousness. Agreeableness. Some of us are very soft-hearted, we trust people, we want to be helpful. But way on the opposite side of the spectrum are people who are ruthless, they don't trust anybody, they're uncooperative. And you know, and although this is a big spectrum, some people are in the middle. Sometimes they are suspicious. And then some of us are more on this side. But it's a spectrum. The next one is neuroticism. That's about emotional stability versus emotional instability. Some of us are just constantly stressed out and worried about stuff. We're anxious, we feel insecure. And some of us, on the other side, well, we're typically more calm, we're more self-satisfied, we're more secure with who we are. And with most spectrums, most people are somewhere in the middle, for anything and everything, for most things. So, openness, some people very imaginative, they like variety, they're really independent. But on the other side, you have people who, they're practical, they prefer being more safe, they go along with the group, they're more conforming, they like routine, they don't want variety. And then the last one is extroversion. And this is where we're going to spend a little time with. Let me show you a quick video. This is whether, so you've heard introverted and extroverted, right? You guys heard? I'm just curious before I even define with them, who thinks they are an introvert? Raise your hand if you know. Okay, who thinks you're an extrovert if you know? So, some people think, and so like there's a spectrum. Some people are more introverted, some people are extroverted. But what does it mean to be introverted and extroverted? Well, here's what it means. Some people think being introverted means you're shy. No. Now you can be an introvert and be shy, but it doesn't mean because you're shy, you're an introvert. You would just be a shy person. Introverts are people who, they can be around other people, they can go to parties, they can do whatever they want, they can be social, but they need their alone time too. That's how they replenish themselves. That's how they get their mental and emotional energy, by having time alone to themselves. Extroverts are the opposite. Extroverts can be by themselves, but extroverts, they get replenished by being around others. They like groups. They like being around people. They just love that. They're the people, so you got two people to go to, two types of people who go to a party. You got the people who go to the party and they never want to go home because they want to continue to be around people. They're probably extroverted. And then you got the people who are at the party and they go, I'm ready to go. Like they've only been there an hour or two and they're already looking at their watch because they're not getting replenished by being around people. And that's pretty much the difference. It's like, how do you replenish yourself? How do you refuel? Where can you be at the longest? That kind of tells which way you lean. Now, several years back, we had a pandemic, which forced people to be isolated. Who do you think had the easiest time with the pandemic? The extrovert or the introvert? Who had an easier time? Why do you say that? Introverts were like, this is great. I don't have to go into the office. I have to deal with coworkers. This is awesome. I don't mind being around some people sometimes. Yeah, we got some friends and we sat in the driveway, but for the most part, this has been great. The extroverts, the people who love being around other people, they were losing their minds. I did therapy sessions during the time, virtually. I know who, I could tell people, they were struggling. They were like, they were getting in arguments with their loved ones and the kids, because they used to, they were like, because they missed going to work. And then after the pandemic, some jobs stayed remote. And some people had a problem with that. Some people got used to it. So introversion, extroversion. So real quick, it's gonna take about 5 minutes. You're not turning this in, but pull out a sheet of paper and pencil. We're gonna see which way you lean. Are you more of an extrovert or are you more of an introvert? You need to write down some letters. You want to answer 8 questions. You want you can number 1 through 8, or you don't have to even write numbers down. But like I said, you're not turning this in, okay? Now, this is not factual, but this will give you something to think about as you try to determine which one are you. Okay, you guys ready? I'll read some of this aloud. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Here we go. Introversion, extroversion. Personality theories. Introverts tend to be more reserved, quiet, and solitary. Extroverts tend to be more outgoing, talkative, and energetic. In this video, you're going to write down either A or B for each question. Don't think about it too hard. We're going to see how many A's you got and how many B's you got. Question 1. Do you consider yourself a risk taker? A or B? So you got to do A or B. Do you consider yourself a risk taker? Okay.
Self-interest.
Number 2. Would you rather A, talk to a crowd of people, or B, have a one-on-one conversation with someone? Would you rather talk to a crowd, or would you rather have a one-on-one conversation? A or B? Question 3. When presenting to a group, would you rather go first or last?
Sir, what was the second question?
Would you rather talk to a crowd of people, or would you rather have a one-on-one conversation?
Have a one-on-one conversation.
Check it with B for you then. So it's right letter B. And then this next one. If you have to present to a group, meaning if you had to present to your classmates, would you rather go first or would you rather last? What would you rather do? A, go first, B, go last.
Would you rather?
Question 4. Do you like to express yourself through writing? Pretty simple question. Do you like to express yourself through writing? A, no, B, yes.
Do you like to express yourself through writing? Yes.
Question 5. Now, you may not worry either way, but if you had to pick one, do you worry more that you talk too little, or do you worry more that you talk too much? Like I said, you may not be worried either way, but they want you to pick something. Do you worry that you talk too little, or talk too much? Talk too little, A, talk too much, B. Question 6.
What was question 5 again?
Back up a little bit. Do you worry that you talk too little or talk too much?
Worry they talk too little.
Okay. All right. So, imagine it's your birthday. It's your birthday. Would you rather A, have a large party with a ton of people, it's up to you, or B, have a small celebration with just your close friends and family? What would you rather? You want the big party, or you want just a small celebration with just your closest friends, family members? Okay, and we have 2 more and then we're done. Question 7. Someone is calling you from an unknown number. It's 9:30 p.m. on a Saturday night. Are you answering that call, or B, you're ignoring it? So an unknown number calls you at 9:30 on a Saturday night. What you doing? You don't see who it is. It's just ringing. One last question. Do you tend to think about what you're about to say in your head before you actually say it? Do you think about what you're going to say before you say it? A, no, B, yes. Some people just say stuff, and some people go, wait a minute, let me make sure this sounds right. Which one do you tend to do? All right. Now, I want you to add up how many A's and how many B's you got. got more A's? We have more A's.
What was that talk too much of A or B on question 5?
Which one did you? Is it A, talk too much? B, talk too little?
B is talk too much, and
We have more A's. 1, 2, 3. You have more A's? 3, 4. Who had more B's? And who had it 4 and 4? Okay. Let's take a look at what that might mean. This is not a scientific study, okay? But let's just get to this, get to the results. If you got more A's, then you are probably an extrovert. So you are probably more outgoing if you have more A's. There were not too many A's in this room based upon the hands that were up. So there's a few. So that means most of you guys in this room are either in the middle or you are introvert. Let's see what that means. Let's finish. This means for the A people, you're enthusiastic, you're confident, you're assertive, you're talkative, you're gregarious. Gregarious is just like really outgoing. Is that the A people? Is that you? Is that you?
That's me.
Oh, that's you all the way. Okay, all right.
And assertive?
I think it is you. What was
What
that?
does gregarious mean?
Like I'm very outgoing.
What about assertive?
That means you're confident. You don't mind taking charge. You don't mind stepping out in front. So these are the people who got more A's. You're an extrovert, and you probably have these traits. Okay. Okay, but let's see what happens with the people who got more B's and how they describe you. If you got more B's, you're considered an introvert, according to this. This means you are very self-aware, you're kind of reserved, you're observant, you're watching, you're observant, you're imaginative, and you're intellectual. You B's feel like that's you? Yeah? What, did you have half and half? Okay, we're gonna get to half and half. Now, for those of you who got half and half, I would be with you guys, because I'm a 50-50 guy. There's actually a word for that. It's not introverted, it's not extroverted.
Introverted?
Okay, so just so you know, introversion is not related to shyness, which I said earlier, which is not social anxiety. It's simply a preference or lifestyle for some people. Now, if you got a mixture of A's and B's, then you are identified as an ambivert.
A mixture of being an introvert and an
So
extrovert.
sometimes you're more introverted and sometimes you're more extroverted. It probably depends.
Yeah.
But even if you are an ambivert like I am, you probably want both. You probably want time to socialize and be in a group, but you also still want your one-on-one time. I like being around people. I love people, but I like my own quiet. I get up early in the morning because everybody else is asleep. It's awesome. Yes.
Are we going to do the test practice activity?
If we have enough time. If we don't, you'll probably start it and you're probably gonna take it home, but I'll tell you what it is in a second. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Yes, does anybody, we can stop this here. Does anybody feel like this is pretty accurate? You feel like pretty? Okay. Like I said, this is not a scientific thing, so it's not like this absolutely defines who you are, but extroversion and introversion, that is part of what makes up our personalities. Okay, we don't need that, we don't have time, we gotta go right through. Let's just jump right to self-esteem.
Self-esteem.
Self-esteem. Anybody need to sign the attendance sheet?
On a personality that.
Diego, could you pass that over there so we can sign it? Where's the other attendance sheet?
So good.
Where's the other one?
And composes.
While you're writing down self-esteem.
Okay, passes over.
There's two types of self-esteem. What are real quick, I know y'all right, but two types. You can have what and what type of self-esteem?
I know low is one of them.
Low, and what's the
Negative
opposite of low? High.
self-evaluations.
That's it. You can have high self-esteem, you can have low self-esteem.
Male.
Self-esteem, the component of personality that encompasses our positive and negative self-evaluations. The important part is self-evaluations. Self-esteem is really how you choose to view yourself. You get to decide if you want to be impacted by how others view you.
Self-absorption.
And sometimes throughout our lives, sometimes
Absorption
there's a point of our
and
lives where we
views.
feel like we have high self-esteem. We really feel confident. We really feel good about ourselves. And then
Fleeting
there'll be
views.
other times in our life where we feel kind of low. We question our ability. Our self-esteem is kind of low. Time changes. Ideally, it's better to have high self-esteem more often than low self-esteem.
Oh.
Because you get a lot further in life if you're able to display high self-esteem versus low self-esteem. If you have low self-esteem, you're going to carry yourself a lot differently. Even your body, how you move. A person with low self-esteem, if they walk in this classroom, they might walk down, head may be low, shoulders may be hunched over,
What do you?
maybe slow. When they look down, the face may look sad. That's low self-esteem.
Mr.
Somebody
Jones.
with high self-esteem, they're gonna walk in, their chin is gonna be up higher. Their chest maybe stick out a little bit, their shoulders go back. When they talk, they'll be able to look at you. If you go to a job interview and one person has low self-esteem, another person has high self-esteem, who do you think is probably gonna get that job? High self-esteem. The employer is gonna hire people who they feel who have confidence in themselves. Yes.
And Mr. Jones, about the grade that'll be due tomorrow on the 17th.
We gotta save that. I gotta finish what I'm in now. We gotta get to the end. I'll answer all your questions. So, if you can, try to display high self-esteem. But it's really just, you get to decide how you view yourself. Some people fail a test and they be like, oh, I'm stupid, and they beat themselves up. That's not helping you. You can say something else. You can say, you know what, yeah, I didn't do well on the test, I'm just gonna do better next time. People who've achieved greatness tend to not have low self-esteem. I don't care what field, I don't care if it's a sport, I don't care if it's a business, I don't care if it's a CEO, they believe in themselves. That's why they achieve success. People who believe in themselves tend to have high self-esteem. Whether you like Michael Jordan or LeBron James, I promise you, they believe in them in their ability. They're not walking around with low self-esteem. That's just no. All right. Like I said, I'm going through this stuff fast because we got to get to. Okay, let's get to psychological tests. People are often given psychological tests because they want to see if it reveals something about your personality.
Standard measures devised to assess.
They want also psychological tests can tell people about how you make decisions, how you handle certain situations.
Assess behavior.
So some jobs require you to take a psychological test.
Objectively.
Of course, the definition, standard measures devised to assess behavior objectively. I believe if you want to be a law enforcement officer, you have to take a psychological test. And you should, because you're going to be given a badge and a gun. People need to know that you're going to make good choices.
How do you pass psychological tests in order to be that person, be that job?
Whatever, you got to get a good grade on the test. Whatever they're looking for. They're looking for certain types of things. Psychological tests, they try to trip you up. They try to make sure you really mean what you, because they know people will try to answer what, well, I bet they want me to answer A. But then later on the test, they'll ask you another question and twist it. to see if they can trip you up, to see if you're inconsistent. And then that might show that you're willing to cheat. Like, I don't know, but there's different reasons why people have, like, a law enforcement officer, a pilot, an astronaut. There's a lot of different fields working for the CIA where you would have to take a psychological. You can't go work for the CIA and not take a test. That's just not going to happen. And some people get hired because they did well in the test, and maybe they shouldn't have got that job. Every police officer is not a good police officer. I'm sorry. Okay, you guys got that? Psychological test? Now, this next section is about different types of tests. Now, there's another test called the Minnesota, this is a mouthful, multiphasic personality inventory 2 restructured form test. Many people just call it the MMPI. This is
Gathering
a
data
type
about
of
people by
so I
asking them
mentioned
questions about their own
personality
behavior and
tests.
traits.
This is a type
Gathering
of
data
personality
about people
test.
by asking
There are
them
many
questions.
different ones. This is one of those personality tests. This is a widely used, very popular test that tries to identify people with psychological difficulties. In other words, these tests try to predict how a person will respond.
About their own behavior and
A
traits.
person, maybe they're in court, maybe there's a legal issue or something that involves the law. They may have them take this test. Certain types of jobs, as I already mentioned. They will say, you need a personality test. Well, which personality test should we give them? There's many. Hey, let's give them the MMPI. The Minnesota, make sure you know what state that is.
Okay.
Multiphasic
Personality inventory.
inventory.
Must have been made
Okay.
for me, I'm from Minnesota.
There you go. This is your test. So it doesn't say Mississippi.
To
It
restructured
doesn't say
form
Memphis.
test.
It says Minnesota. I'm helping you out for the test. Just helping you out.
Okay. Form test.
MMPI, Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory 2, because they've had some
Widely
revisions,
used,
so that's
so-
what all the extra letterings and stuff is, because they've had some revisions.
Self-report test. I need to finish writing it.
Okay.
That identifies people. With psychological difficulties.
Good?
Yes, carry on, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now, another type of test for personalities is called the projective personality test. So write that down. Anybody need time to do?
I missed the like last part.
So no,
I'm going back for you.
so no,
Thank you.
no activity to practice for the test.
You're gonna get something. As I said before, you'll probably be able to start the activity, the review activity, but you'll probably be taking it home. And that'll make more sense in a few minutes when I explain what the activity is. Projective personality test. It's a test in which a person is shown ambiguous, that means unclear or uncertain stimuli and asked to describe it or tell a story about it. You're like, I know that doesn't make sense, but in a moment, I'm going to show you a version of a projective personality test, what it looks like.
A test of which a person.
Like the Rorschach test, exactly. I don't know if everybody knows. Anybody know what a Rorschach test is?
That's the ink block.
That is the ink block exam. That is, so for those of you who don't know, I'm going to show you an image. I actually know that one. In 1 second. So the right finish is writing.
Ambitious. Stimulus.
So basically, a projective personality test shows you something and says, what do you think is
Test to
going on?
describe it or tell a story.
Or for example, sometimes when I used to work with real little kids, you gotta do different things with little kids when you try to be a therapist.
Describe it.
So I might tell a child, can you draw a
Tell a
picture
story about.
of a house Or I may say, can you draw a picture of a person getting an apple out of a tree? Now, when I tell them to draw a picture of the house, I'm not trying to evaluate their art skills. I'm really giving them a projected activity. Because when a child sometimes draws a house, he or she might be revealing something that's going on inside of them. So say, for example, if I say, draw the house and make sure you're in the picture too. Maybe they make the house really big on the paper and they draw themselves really tiny in the corner. Now, does that mean anything? Maybe not. Or maybe it means there's so much going on in that child's household, they feel small, they feel unseen, they don't feel like they're getting enough attention. So, a therapist or myself will try to interpret what's going on here. Like if you're working with a 7-year-old, they're not as verbal. They may not be able to express what's going on right now. They may not be able to say that, I'm upset because my parents are divorcing. Sometimes I would have a kid, I would be like, hey, draw a picture of you and your family members. And what I'm looking at in that picture, in that drawing, I want to see, one, what size do they make themselves compared to everybody else? I want to see, do those people have facial expressions? And if they do, what do those expressions look like? I want to know who they drew themselves next to, if they drew themselves next to anybody. I'm looking at things projectively to try to interpret from what I'm seeing. Now, a very popular or known projective personality test is called the Rorschach ink blot test.
Write that down.
Yep, it's underlined. There is a question on your test about the Rorschach ink blot test. We're researching. I think you gotta get through stuff because the test is next week. So I admit I'm cramming it in today. Sorry about that. I always take pictures and write it down later. Anybody else need to sign the finish sheet? So everybody has signed.
What is the definition of a Rorschach ink blot test?
No, the Rorschach is an ink blot test. That's what it is. So that picture on the side, that's an example of what a Rorschach test ink blot looks like.
What is the definition?
It seeks to identify people's inner feelings by analyzing how they interpret the ink blot. And there's 10 different ones. Now, the bottom line, unfortunately, it lacks predictive and validity and reliability. In other words, it don't really mean much.
By analyzing how.
They used to use this all the time. They don't really use it that much now because it don't really show anything.
How they interpret.
And basically what it is, it's like you probably did this as a kid. You put some paint on the paper,
10 ink blots.
and then you fold the paper, and then you open it back up. The way this test used to work back in the day,
Lacks predictive validity.
you'd be in an office with a therapist, and they would say, when you look at this picture, what do you see? What do you guys see when you look at this picture? You're not going to say the same thing, but what do you see?
I can see two things.
What do you see?
A pelvis and the Chaos Emeralds.
A pelvis and a payoff.
The Chaos Emerald from
The
Summit,
Chaos
because of the
Emerald,
center
okay.
looks like the Master Emerald.
What does somebody else see?
I see a sunriser set with mountains, but it's reflected again downwards and something else.
Okay, very nice. What do you see, Jane?
In a weird way,
Go for it.
I see different color, like, what's this thing that the ones that them beautiful,
Peacock?
yeah.
Okay.
I kind of see a butterfly.
Butterfly? Okay. Now, supposedly, the way this used to work, based upon your answers, they think that you're revealing something about your inner self. But once again, this proved to not really be effective because, when you look at this, to me, this is really about a person's own imagination. It's just like when you lay down and look at the clouds. It's really about your imagination. It doesn't really reveal anything about your personality. That's why they said it lacks creativity, validity, and reliability. it's not reliable, which is why people don't even use the Rorschach test anymore. Or at least, I don't think they do, or at least they probably shouldn't, because you don't know what it means. It's just, like, how do you want to interpret
Because it's only
this?
someone else's,
Done for now.
thinking of what they think about you.
It's like they're trying to evaluate what you think you're looking at, or what they think you see. So they'd be like, oh my God, Amy, she sees the sunset. Is she trying to escape her problems? Is that why she's saying this?
I said sunrise.
Sunrise, I'm sorry. All right, everybody got all this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and we're done. Okay. Now, you guys will get a chance to start the activity, but you will not get a chance to finish it.
Today.
You will have to finish it on your own. What is today's review activity? I call this the team review and study guide. There are 20 different questions here, technically 21, but there's 20 different questions here. Some of them are fill in the blank, some are multiple choice. This is half of your exam. Anything that's not on here is the other things in your notes that were underlined. That's the other half of the exam. But I promise you, it's not exactly, but this is really close to the actual exam, or at least half of it. So it's called a team review because for the next, I'm gonna give you 10 minutes. 10 minutes, you can get with whoever you want to get with. Y'all can share notes, answer as many questions as you can, because everybody was not here every day. So this is basically, you're getting your own handy dandy study guide to get you ready for your test, which is next Thursday. This is yours to keep. You're not getting graded for this. It's for your benefit and not mine. You can start whenever you want to. You can get with whoever you want to. If you know somebody who is absent, whatever, you can. And in about 10 minutes, I'm going to see how many of you have gotten close to finishing. Normally, I bring prizes, but I forgot to. You can get whatever. You can get in groups of 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, whatever you want to do. Because this,
Do I not
you
get
don't
one?
need to write answers.
What? Do I not
don't
get
want
one?
you writing down the wrong answer and then taking a test. Taking the test and then putting down the wrong answer.
You missed me.
I'm sorry.
There you go. Do this when we get home?
Huh?
Do this when we get home?
You started right now. Yeah, you're probably not going to finish it here. But some of you are missing, I can guarantee you, some of you are missing notes because some of you were absent and some of you came late. So make sure, if you don't have it in your notes, check with your classmate. Everybody got one? Yes. Find the answer. You don't have to get with whoever you want to get with.
Because it's not scenario or whatever.
Car, we gonna do this together, or you wanna?
Got
We're gonna do
10
that?
minutes.
I could probably finish it.